Welcome to The Explainer, a Pinocchio co-production. We're about to take some pretty complex research and break it down into a clear, engaging explainer on a really fascinating topic.
Okay, so when you think of honey, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For most of us, it's probably something we drizzle on toast or stir into our tea. But you know, its history as a medicine goes way, way back. So could one very specific type of honey be a powerful weapon in a modern-day gastrointestinal battle? Let's find out.
All right, here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with what makes pine honey so special, then look at honey's general bug-fighting power. After that, we'll zoom right in on how it takes on one of the toughest stomach bacteria out there. And finally, what this all means for the future of food and health.
First things first, what exactly makes pine honey so different from that classic golden honey you've got in your kitchen? Well, the secret isn't in a flower petal, it's actually on the bark of a tree.
This right here is the key. Pine honey is a honeydew honey. So instead of flying from flower to flower collecting nectar, bees collect this sugary liquid that's been excreted by a very specific insect called Marchalina hellenica. This little guy lives on pine trees, and honestly, without him, there'd be no pine honey. It's this incredible three-part team-up between the tree, the insect, and the bee.
And this whole collaboration is incredibly rare. I mean, you're not going to find this stuff just anywhere. This very specific ecosystem is almost exclusively found in the Aegean and Mediterranean, which makes Turkey and Greece the absolute world headquarters for authentic pine honey.
This map really drives that point home. It pinpoints the exact regions, those coastal forests where you have the right kind of pine trees, the perfect climate, and that all-important Marchalina hellenica insect all living together in harmony.
So, how can we actually measure the difference? Well, it turns out pine honey has a much higher electrical conductivity. Now, that sounds super technical, but what it really means is that it's packed with a richer mineral content. We're talking more potassium, more magnesium. It's a key feature that sets it apart and gives us a big clue about its unique properties.
So why has honey been a go-to remedy for so long? Before we get super specific about the gut, let's quickly look at the basic antimicrobial toolkit that pretty much all honeys come equipped with.
Most honeys are basically microbial assassins, and they use this powerful four-part strategy. First, their super high sugar content creates what's called osmotic pressure, which literally sucks the water right out of bacteria. Second, they're acidic, which is a really hostile environment for germs. Third, bees add an enzyme that creates a slow, steady release of hydrogen peroxide. Yep, a natural antiseptic. And finally, they are just loaded with phenolic compounds, which are potent antioxidants.
Okay, now let's get specific. How do these powers work against a very common and incredibly tough stomach bacterium called Helicobacter pylori? This is where pine honey really starts to stand out, and it's the heart of what we're digging into in this Pinocchio explainer.
Believe it or not, over half the world's population might have H. pylori hanging out in their gut. And it is notoriously difficult to get rid of, mainly because it has this really clever defense mechanism that lets it survive in the super harsh acidic environment of our stomachs.
And here's where that general honey toolkit becomes a precision weapon. Research going back decades shows that honey's #1 weapon against H. pylori isn't chemical, it's physical. That osmotic pressure we just talked about, that's the key. It's a tactic that totally bypasses many of the bacteria's clever defenses.
So pine honey has this awesome dual-action attack. On one hand, you've got the direct physical assault, the osmotic effect that just dehydrates the bacteria. But on the other hand, studies show it also messes with something called urease. Urease is the special enzyme H. pylori uses to neutralize stomach acid and build an acid-proof shield. By blocking that, pine honey basically dismantles the bacteria's main defense system.
To put it simply, pine honey doesn't just fight the bacteria, it takes away its armor. The osmotic effect is the brute force attack, right? But the urease inhibition, that's the strategic move that just leaves it wide open and defenseless. It's a really powerful 1-2 punch.
So what does this all mean for us? Why does this even matter for our health? Well, this kind of research is changing how we look at certain foods, kind of moving them from the pantry shelf over to the medicine cabinet.
This is what positions pine honey as a functional food. It's not just a sweetener or even a simple home remedy anymore. It's a food with a purpose. It's packed with antioxidants, minerals, and all these unique compounds that do so much more than just provide calories. We're talking about proactive health, right from your kitchen. So, let's recap the big points. Pine honey is a unique honeydew honey, not a floral one. It's got that powerful 1-2 punch against H. pylori, using both intense osmotic pressure and the ability to disable the bacteria's own defenses. All of this makes it a really fascinating and valuable functional food, especially for supporting gut health.
You know, the science is really starting to catch up and validate what traditional medicine has known for centuries. And as we keep exploring the power of natural products like pine honey, it really makes you wonder, what other secrets are just hiding in plain sight? We hope this gave you some food for thought. Thanks for watching this Panuka.co production.